From the headquarters of the Guild of Champions, this is the Becoming Thin Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Terrell, and welcome to another week of your weight loss quest. How did this last week go for you, champion? What new challenges did you encounter? But more importantly, what failure did you go through, and what lesson did you get from that failure? Come on now, don't let a perfectly good failure go by without you getting your lesson. That's your reward for your troubles, after all. Now, if you're new here, I lost 125 pounds myself after an entire adulthood of chronic yo-yo dieting. Up, down, up again, before I finally got sick and tired of being sick and tired and fat, and made some permanent, meaningful, and actual changes to my real-life lifestyle, habits, routines, environment, community, and to my systems of belief. Because it's all those things that created the results of my life, and if I'm going to get new results, I needed to change those things, and now I'm here to help you make permanent, meaningful, and actual changes to your lifestyle, habits, routines, environment, community, and belief systems, all in helping you become thin, healthy, happy, and in shape. I've lost the weight, and I've been keeping it off now for many years. I've gone through lots of things in life since I decided to start my weight loss journey. And the only reason I've been able to be successful is because I addressed the source of weight gain, in addition to losing weight, right? Many of you have heard me use an analogy where I compare it to like a rowboat. You know, you're bucketing the water out, that's dieting, and holes in your boat, that's the weight gain. And I finally started plugging holes in my boat instead of just bucketing forever. And that's a really important thing to remember, because you're going to need to do this yourself if weight has been something you've struggled with for your life. You know, I specialize in helping people that need to lose a lot of weight, where weight has been a constant thing in their life. Yeah, you know, it can help people if you need to lose 20, 30, 40 pounds, but no offense, but that's the end of the journey. That's the small part at the end for a lot of the people I work with. You know, I'm working with people that need to lose 100, 200, 300 pounds, because it's a different journey. It's just a different thing when you got to lose that much weight. It just really is. Now, one of the things that's really, really important is you have to keep your head in the game for a long time. I was able to lose weight because I kept my head in the game every day. I kept my focus every day. Now, I know for many of you that have been longtime listeners of the podcast that are listening to this live as it comes out every few weeks, you've noticed that there's been a dip, and that's because I've been working on the most ambitious project I've ever worked on, and that is my daily coaching program, where I am providing something for a person to listen to every single day for an entire year. Today, I just uploaded session 148, I believe it is, of that program. Yeah, 148. So this has been the most ambitious project I've ever done, and the feedback from it has been overwhelmingly positive. I mean, people are really, really getting a lot of results from this, and they're really happy with it, talking about how it helps them engage. I hear every week from people taking this program how powerful it is. So it's just turned into such a big, ambitious project. It has hogged a massive amount of my creative and content creating bandwidth, massive, because it's a designed program. It's, you know, it's not a podcast. It's structured. And so I'm saying that because I made that program to help people stay focused every single day. And that's what I want you to be able to do in your journey. I want you to be able to stay focused every single day, because you get to the end of the journey by living every single day between here and there. And if you don't live in the day you're in, it's going to be hard to do it. You know, if you're splitting your attention to all these other days, and it can be so easy to lose focus. And so the point was to make something. Now, if you're wanting to taste this sort of format, you can go to becomingthin.com and take my free 3-week course. Every day, I'll coach you every single day. You can hop in there and try it. See what you think. And I'd love to have you take part in that. But another thing I do in the Guild, my group program, I do something called grounding sessions, where I provide regular additional content live that people can come to and then upload it for review or for replay for people, and provide all sorts of education along the way. And I wanted to play one of those for you here today. It's about the stories in the mind, the stories that we tell ourselves and how it influences us. It runs about 20 minutes, this session. And this one was a lecture, and then afterwards I did a group coaching exercise with everybody in the room, and there's a lot of interactivity. But today I'm going to play for you the keynote portion of it. so that you can hear it. I want you to hear the sorts of things that are covered. And you'll notice there's things that are similar to what you might hear on the podcast. But the thing to know is there is a structure, there is a system in it. I'm really working with so many people that are trying to change and transform their lives in a permanent way. And I'd love to help you out. And just go to becomingthin.com and take the free course to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and transition over right now to the session. And I hope you find this to be valuable and helpful for you. So take it away, Chris. So the thoughts that we think regularly affect the experience we have in life. The thoughts that we think regularly affect the experience that we have in life. Now, many people might have thought well, you can control your thoughts. But if I just was blah! Oh, wait, did that make you think something? Why did he do that? Or oh, he startled me. Why did he make that sound, right? Did you pick that thought? Or if I'm just polar bears, don't think about polar bears. Are you thinking about polar bears? Stop thinking about the fact that polar bears are white. Right? I can do all sorts of things that create a thought in your head. You didn't pick it. Right? Sure. I guess you put yourself in the position where I'm talking to you and a thought gets in. But you can pick thoughts too, though. Just because you don't control the arrival of all thought in your mind, that doesn't mean you can't control the arrival of some thoughts. Right now, I want you to ask yourself a question in your head that you know the answer to. So just do it right now. Take a moment and ask yourself a question in your mind that you know the answer to. And notice how you picked a question and the answer arrived and you picked it. You chose it. I didn't tell you what question to pick. You picked it. And so if you ask yourself a question, you can get an answer. And keeping in mind that I don't know is an answer. A non-answer is an answer. And so where this is really important is as you're navigating life, as you're navigating your weight loss journey, as you're navigating through your emotional eating, as you're working on your objective of becoming thin, healthy, happy, and in shape, 4 separate goals with 4 different projects, as you're working on those while also working on the weight gaining problem, you'll begin to realize that you have an internal experience throughout this entire journey. You'll have days where you don't feel good. You have days where you feel great. You'll have days where you feel motivated, inspired, and you know what to do. You'll have days where you feel demotivated and confused, unsure of what to do. But also within these thoughts, you have these ideas of who you are, the kind of person that I am, the kind of person that I'm not. And so there's a saying, I don't know where it originated from, but it's that stories are the operating system of the mind. Stories are the operating system of the mind, or the programming language. Stories. Have you ever noticed that we tend as humans to use metaphors and parables and stories to illustrate concepts? That we do a little bit better with that? But also, consider this. Have any of you ever found yourself getting on the scale and it goes up 3 pounds? What do? You tell yourself a story. Well, this is what this means. This is why it happened. This is what it tells about who I am as a person. This is what says is going to happen in the future. It's a story. We sometimes find ourselves trying to predict what's going to happen in the future by creating stories. And we tell ourselves these stories. And so, one of the things, if you see me looking over here, is because I got my notes over here. I don't want to forget anything. 2 people can go through the exact same experience at the exact same time and have 2 completely different takeaways. Two people can track their calories. One can say, I feel restricted, and the other person can say, I feel freedom. How can that be? They could be the same size, tracking the same number of calories, eating the same foods even, and yet one can say, I feel restricted, and the other can say, I feel free. How can that be? It's because of the story they're telling themselves in their head. One of my favorite examples of this, it's a story of two shoe salesmen. So this company was thinking like, we need to expand our market. So they said, let's send two of our salespeople over to this area in Africa. And so they send them over there and they say, report back after a couple of weeks and let us know if we should expand into this market. And after a couple of weeks, first salesperson calls back and says, you know what? We don't have a market here. I'm just going to come home. Coming here would be a waste of time and a waste of money because I'm looking around here. Nobody's wearing any shoes. This is a third world area. Nobody has any shoes. There's no reason to be here. I'm going to come home. Okay. So then the people back home are like, okay, well, let's hear from the second salesperson. Second salesperson calls in and they're like, oh my goodness, nobody here wears any shoes. I need you to send me every bit of inventory you have. I'm going to sell the shit out of these shoes. Nobody has any. It's our market ripe for the picking. Two different perspectives on it. One sees everybody with no shoes and thinks nobody wants any shoes because they don't have them. The other person looks around and says nobody has any shoes and nobody's selling any shoes. I'm going to sell them some shoes. And so we're going through every day telling ourselves stories about what's happening. Now, the interesting thing is, though, these stories can be automatic. Like, I'm telling myself the same old script that happens. Like, for example, when the scale goes up, do any of you ever feel this repetitive script fire off in the mind? Same thing. Or the morning after an overeat, the same old script firing off. And so these stories influence our actions, they influence our choices. But one of the things I want you to consider, though, is not all stories are equal. Have any of you ever gone to a comedy movie and you're sitting there and you're like, I didn't laugh. I didn't think it was very funny. But have any of you ever gone to a different comedy movie and just laughed your ass off? Different story. Have anybody ever heard somebody tell a story like this, where they just talk really slow and no voice inflection? I'm gonna lose weight. I'm gonna do this. I can do this. Is a story like that very engaging? No, of course not. Have any of you everybody seen a storyteller or somebody that gets up and talks and they have a lot of voice inflection? And if you can see them, they move around and they play with their voice and they use fun words. They're engaging. They use emotional language. Have any of you ever noticed, some of you that have been around me more in person, you may notice that I curse sometimes more in presentations than I do in real life. Because sometimes when I'm like, what the fuck? I'm trying to get a person to feel something. I'm literally trying to use language to stir a feeling. Yes, Misty, you called a big one right there. Yeah, I'll say the doobly-doo down below. Why? Because it's just fun to say. Doobly-doo. You got to enjoy this stuff. The stories help the information get in. Now, a lot of times we like to hear somebody tell a story, but keep in mind, you're all storytellers and you're all brilliant storytellers. Every single one of you is a brilliant storyteller. You can concoct the most amazing, emotionally charged story ever. But the question is, do you tell stories of tragedy or do you tell stories of triumph when you're telling a story about yourself? When you're telling a story about yourself, are you telling a sad, pathetic story of defeat and hopelessness? Or are you telling a story of a person beginning their origin story? Because every hero's cool story begins when they're down in the dumps. Did everybody like that superhero movie where the superheroes kicking ass, the people showed up, they kicked their ass, and then the next day they kick their ass, and they're like, I'm basically a god. I'm unstoppable. No, it's a boring story. Nobody likes that story. It's uninspiring. No, what do we want to see? We like a story of a person overcoming, of a person persevering. What makes that story a good one? There was something to overcome and to persevere. And a lot of times it's they're facing themselves. So I want to ask you, this weight loss journey that you're going on, what's the story you're telling yourself? Is this a story of you being beat down and being unable to get through it? Or is this a story of you overcoming? When you fail, what do you tell yourself? Is this a story of I'll never be able to do this? I'm hopeless and helpless? Or is it a story of, damn it, something got me again. All right, let's get up and do this again because I'm resilient. You know, one of the things I love about the movie Zootopia? Hops, the bunny. I love the beginning story where she's going through the police academy and do the try everything song. And it's just basically this story of this little bunny overcoming and just never giving up and persevering, and things get hard and just keep showing up. It's a cool story. It's a fun story. It's a human story that we could tell ourselves. But the reason why I mentioned about the how we tell our stories earlier, well, it's because many times people, they'll hear what I'm saying, like, yeah, I need to tell myself a good story. And when they mess up, they'll tell a story with all sorts of feeling and conviction. Have any of y'all been around a person and it's just like, I don't know if I believe you, but I believe that you believe it, and you believe it so damn much, you're almost making me maybe think I should believe it. Like, their conviction is enough to cause you to maybe consider them. So consider that, like, again, you have something happen and you tell this story about yourself with conviction, with emotional language, delivered with feeling. You know what? Every time I try to lose weight, I always mess up. Every single time I mess up, and I don't know why. It's probably because there's I have these cravings within me that are so strong that I don't know what I can do about it. I'm sure some other people can handle it. I'm sure some other people can overcome it. But there's something about me. I can't do it. I've been just sitting still for so dang long. I can only take 2,000 steps a day. And I got Chris over here saying that if I want to get progress, I got to take 10,000 steps a day. And I can only take maybe 2,000, 3,000. And then when I do it, it hurts so damn bad. I don't think I could do this anymore. You know what? Weight loss is so damn hard, so fucking hard. I'm sick of feeling terrible about myself. I'm sick of feeling down. Sorry, I got to bring myself down after talking like that for a second. Y'all, if you're talking to yourself in your head like that, notice how I started letting the emotion build and build and build and build and build. How did it feel just to hear me talking like that? Even though it's hyperbole right now when I'm doing it. But how does it feel? And now the same person's like, all right, same person. Yeah, I guess I can maybe do this. I'll try. Maybe this time I'll make it. All right, Eeyore. I'm so happy. Does that story work? You have this just mediocre, half-assed story competing against this incredibly emotional story of the other side. Well, which one's going to win? Which story's going to move you emotionally? But what if you get yourself to tell yourself not a neutral story, but a powerful, empowering story? I can do this. I've messed up time and time again. I know it. But you know what? All I've done is found a lot of ways not to lose weight. That's all I've done. You know what? There's still lots of time left in life. I'm only 52 years old. There's a lot of life ahead of me. You know what? Yeah, I can only take 2,000 steps right now, but that's because I haven't been trying. I'm ready to start doing this. You know what? I think I'm going to go try to get 2,500 steps. And then when I get that, I'm going to get 3,000 steps. Then when I get that, I'm going to get 3,500 steps. You know why? Because I'm capable of doing better. I can keep improving, right? The problem has been I've just been giving up on myself. You know what? I'm not going to give up on myself anymore. Why? Because I love myself and I deserve this. I deserve to give myself my best as I'm able to do it. I'm not going to ask myself to be perfect because you know what? That's being hard on myself. And I'm done being hard on myself. I'm going to encourage myself. You know what? You know what? I'm done telling myself all this bullshit excuses like I can't do it. I'm done telling myself that. I don't like doing it. You know why? Because I don't like how that makes me feel. I deserve to feel positive about myself. And you know what? I'm done waiting to lose weight. I'm done waiting to be thin to start loving myself, to start feeling good about myself. Why? Because I fucking deserve to love myself right now. I deserve to love my life right now. Because what if I died next month? I don't want to die waiting to be happy. I'm going to be happy now. You know what? I wonder what's going to bring me joy in life and move me towards my goal. I deserve to have this body. What if you're talking to yourself like that? What if when you get up you wake up every day and you're like, you know what? Yesterday, I took 6,000 steps. A year ago, I might have took 1,500. That is an amazing improvement. Gosh, 6,000 steps yesterday. That's fantastic. I'll bet I can do it again today. That'd be great. You know what? Yesterday, I said I was going to track my calories. The evening got a little bit better. It got the better of me a little bit. But you know what? I see what I did there. Yeah, all right. I shouldn't have taken the tub of peanut butter up to my room without the lid on it with a spoon in it. I knew what was going to happen. That's kind of funny. I don't know why I did that. We're not going to do that tonight, though, right? You know why? Because I can do better. It's all right. Failure is part of the process. I'm going to get my lesson from that. Isn't that so much easier than waking up the next day and being like, I don't know. Every time I try, I just fail. Every time I do it, I just mess it up again. You know what? I don't even want to talk about it. You know what? I'm just not even going to talk about it. You know what? I'm just going to forget about it and I'm going to move on. There's no new story there. The stories you tell yourself will directly influence the choices that you're making. And I submit that while probably most things in life, the meaning is not real, your mind needs meaning. And you often get to pick the meaning. Like, my dad got cancer and he died. Honestly, the way I look at it is, there was no reason. It just happened. It just happened. Sometimes people get cancer and sometimes people die. And it sucks. It sucks. But it also happened. It sucks. I, however, get to decide the story, though. I get to decide the meaning that I'm going to tell myself about it. That's what I get to pick. I get to find the story that I can attach myself to and carry forward with that. And that's the thing I had to realize. One of the superpowers as a person is that we can choose the story we tell ourselves about what happens. Because a lot of life, there is no meaning. It just happens. It just happens. But I'm going to pick what it means to me and tell myself a new story. And I'm going to tell myself a story that helps me, that matters to me. And you'll find, though, that sometimes we get very attached to our stories and we don't want to let them go. Weirdly, we will have a disempowering story of ourselves and we will be afraid to let it go. We'll be afraid. Because a lot of times these stories, we've made a lot of decisions based off of this story. That if I didn't have this story, my life would be very different. But I've been telling myself this story for 20 years. And sometimes it's hard to go, oh, if I'd have just stopped telling myself that story and told myself this story instead, my life would be very different today. Oh, I should feel so ashamed about that. See how there's another story sneaking in? So instead, let your story have plot twists. Let surprise endings show up. Let you be the hero of your story and frame your hard times as the thing you're overcoming, as a part of your comeback story, as a part of your victory story. Frame every failure as a part of the story in a positive way. You get to decide the narrative. Nobody else is writing it for you. You get to decide. And start catching yourself when you're telling yourself a disempowering story and see if you can twist it around and turn it into a positive story.